welcome everybody to the Search Mastery Interest Group speaker series. As some of you know, this is a regular series, and we explore the foundations and practice of search, including search skills, search education, and search literacy. And today we're really excited to have Greg Feingold from Perplexity.ai. He's going to give us an overview of Perplexity. He leads community at the company. And just to give you a quick overview of Perplexity, it's an intelligent search engine that scours the internet in real time to deliver quick, accurate responses with clickable sources cited right in the text. Knowledge workers send over 100 million searches per week on Perplexity, with many of them using it as their primary search engine. Students at many universities, including the University of Maryland and around the world, use Perplexity to kickstart their research, find high-quality sources, and study for exams. We've got Perplexity's head of community, Greg Feingold, and he's going to give us tips and tricks to make the most of Perplexity, which is free. And he'll also give us a little bit more of an introduction to his background and his role at Perplexity. So Greg, I'll turn it over to you.
Cool. Thank you so much. And Mary, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, when Mary reached out to me about this program, I just thought it was so cool that this program exists, Search Mastery, because we're all about search here. And so hearing that there's something so specific and that people are interested in learning more about, the frontier of search, which is what we're all about. I'm really excited to be here. So my agenda for today is I think I'll spend the first 10 minutes just talking about why we created Perplexity and how we designed the product, and kind of explaining how we view the future of search. And then I'd love to spend a majority of the time kind of walking through some use cases, and then showing how people are actually using our search engine every single day. I have a bunch of different categories that I'd love to show you. And then I'll save time at the end for Q&A. So I lead community here at Perplexity, and that means that I'm working with community for a search engine, and that's everyone in the world. My goal is to work with specific types of searchers or of knowledge workers who are using our search engine, and learn how we can make the product better for those cohorts of users. So by far the fastest growing and most exciting community for us is students and educators and people working in higher education. We have a very large percentage of our user base, especially since fall 2024, has been students on university campuses who are using Perplexity every single day for research, studying, writing papers, preparing for tests, things like that. And I'll show some more specific examples there. But it's really exciting. I love to work with those students every day, and they have given me a lot of good use cases that I like to share with everyone else. So I can show you how our smartest up and coming bright minds are using search in 2024. So but let's go back to basics. So when we set out to create Perplexity, there really was a problem that we wanted to solve. And so here's the problem. It goes back to the basic tenet of search, which is how we as a species access information that is on the internet. And of course, this is one of the most common uses of technology. We ask the internet billions of questions each year. We saw a need. We saw that basically the way that we're doing that search, unlike any other type of software that's constantly changing and being updated, the way that we're doing search has basically not changed for the past 2 decades. The idea is you type in your search, your question to the internet, and then what'll happen is you'll get what we call 10 blue links. You'll get a list of websites that may or may not have the answer to your question. And then, to get that answer, you have to go into one of these pages. Maybe there's a bunch of sponsorships before, so you have to scroll down. Then you go into one of these pages. Maybe it has your answer. You'll have to click through a bunch of pop-up boxes. You might have to create an account on that website. And then your answer might be there. We don't think this is a very efficient way of doing search. when you go to a search engine, what you're really looking for is an answer. You're not looking for a link to a website, unless maybe you are in some what we call directional queries. But usually you're just looking for an answer. And that's how we built Perplexity around. We do not consider ourselves a search engine. We consider ourselves an answer engine. So when you use Perplexity, we're not going to give you a list of 10 blue links. We're going to give you the answer to your question. And that's kind of the guiding force behind everything of how we've designed our product. So you'll see that it looks very similar to current existing search engines. And that's by design, right? We want there to be as little friction as possible. And in fact, I'll go into this a little bit later, but we don't mention AI anywhere in our product. Actually, we used to be perplexity.ai, but now most people access us from perplexity.com. And there's no mention here of models or which we do use the latest models from Meta and OpenAI and Anthropic, but you'll see that we don't mention those here on the website, and that's by design. It's because most people, when they go to search, they don't think about what model they want to use, or even they don't think about using AI. They want the answer to their question, and so that's how we've designed the product here. I think one of our head of design, Henry, he says that no one mentioning AI in a product is kind of it's not something that serves a need. It's kind of like if Gmail told you like we're going to search through your emails using natural language processing and like all these other features that of course it uses, but the users don't really care about that. They just want to search and they want to get the answer to their questions. So it's a core tenet of how we've designed the product, that it feels like a normal search engine. We don't mention the technology, even though we do use some of this cutting edge, LLM technology. And then once you search, what happens is we will tell you the answer to your question. And we do cite your sources. So basically any answer you'll get here will have a citation that you can click into and view sources. But you'll notice that the thing that you'll see right away is a answer in natural language that explains, the answer to your question. And one of the ways that we measure success for our product, you hear about at other search engines, they have like thousands of engineers who are working to make the search engine like 0.1 second faster. And of course, we do work to make our answers appear more quickly. But when you hear our CEO talk, the way that he is thinking about measuring the success of our search engine is not time to load the page, but time to get an answer. We want to really minimize the time between, you asking best places to stay in Tokyo and then you seeing the answer being, Shinjuku. Maybe that's the best place for you based on your parameters. So we really spend a lot of time, working with, all the technology behind the scenes to shorten that time from asking your question to actually, seeing and understanding the answer to your question. And that's, again, how we've designed this entire product around. We really focus on accuracy, user experience. Many times you'll see on the internet, people will compare, our search results, especially for a more like factual question, to other AI-powered, chatbots or search engines. And it's something that we care a lot about and are working to constantly improve. And so usually the feedback is that we do a pretty good job compared to the other offers on the market. And also user experience is very, very important. We put a lot of work into design, into making things very clean, easy to understand, not very cluttered. It all goes back to that same philosophy of how do we minimize the time between when you ask your question and when you receive the actual factual answer that you're looking for. And then, this is also very important for us. I would say our main reason that we have been so successful with the student audience is these citations. So anytime you ask a question, we'll give you the answer in natural language, but we will also, cite our sources. So there will be a little blue citation mark, kind of similar to how Wikipedia looks, where you'll be able to click into citations if you want to learn more. This actually does drive a lot of traffic to these websites. When we when we did an election hub. There were a lot of people searching for the election in November 2024. And it drove a ton of traffic actually to the Associated Press, which is our main cited source for election news. So that was cool to us, because that's of course a very trusted source, and we definitely want to get people who are searching about things definitely related to the election to the most trusted cited sources there. So we actually, these citations really do get a lot of people to dive deeper and learn a little bit more about the answers that they're getting. And yeah, we're looking at a lot of different types of searches. People ask us about our product roadmap all the time, and I would say in general, our the way that we approach it is, we just look at every type of thing that people are searching for, and we think, how can we make a much smarter, better version of it? What is the version of, minimizing the time to answer? So for example, we have, here's travel, something that we're currently looking at. How do we make a much smarter travel search experience? If you want to plan a trip to Rome, how do we get you as close to that answer as possible? We have to find the best hotel for you. We have to plan a really good trip. We have to, tell you exactly where to go and when, tell you the best time of year to go. Probably need to find you some flights. And actually with AI, we can do that kind of search really, really easily. So we're basically taking that approach and applying it to every other type of search there is. Here, I think there's a few quick demos from something that we've launched pretty recently. So this is a demo of our finance search. I actually have a few more demos that I'll show you a little bit later. But you can see this is another thing where we've learned that we can be much smarter than a traditional search engine. So you'll notice when someone searches a specific stock ticker, or in this case it's Bitcoin, it will show both quantitative and qualitative info. And the quantitative is going to be, comparing the stocks over time. And then the qualitative is going to be, more insights about the company. Here you can see comparing two different stocks. This is where it gets, a little more powerful using the power of AI. So here we are, basically doing two searches and then comparing, these two different, in this case, cryptocurrencies against each other based on natural language. And then here's something where it gets even more advanced. So you can ask something, and you'll notice that it shows something called reasoning, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. So in this case, we are listing the top 20 cryptocurrencies by market value and their founders. So you'll see here, Perplexity shows you its thinking. So it's saying, step one, find the top 20 cryptocurrencies. Step two, find who the founders are. And then step three, it's going to put them together in a chart here. So here you can see we have all of those different cryptocurrencies, their founders, and of course, still the cited sources. So you can see where we got that answer for all of these different ones. This is just an example of how we look at each vertical, this vertical being finance, and we really think deeply around, okay, how do we make this a smarter, better search experience? And so that's kind of our roadmap for the future. That's how we're going to keep building Perplexity into the best answer engine for any different type of search. The last one I wanted to show here before I go into my true demo here is so we have a feature that has been pretty popular, I would say, especially with students, and it's called internal file search. And there's a companion feature called Perplexity Spaces. So basically, we had a lot of interest from students and from educators, and also from like enterprise customers, to use our search not just for searching the internet, but also searching your own files. So, especially if you have, company information, or let's say you have like notes from a class or something like that. You want to be able to search through those at the same time, and maybe, search through, get a result that, is looking through both your own files and also the internet. So this is something we rolled out about a month ago, and it's been, again, very successful with the student audience. And then, so Perplexity Spaces, to explain that, is it's kind of the shared space for these searches. So, let's say you are in a class, and you want to share a search space for that class. So you want to upload all of the files for your class. Maybe you upload the syllabus, all the notes from each week of class. You can then invite all of the students to that space. Students are also using this for, if they create a study group. If they have a club that they are in, they will create a space for that club. And then everyone can basically search through, the knowledge base of that club or organization or school or class. So a few demos really quickly. So here's the first one. So this user basically is uploading the syllabus for their class, and then they know that they have to brush up on their coding to do well in this class. So they're asking Perplexity to search through the syllabus, identify what kind of coding they need to know for the class, and then go to the internet and find a few resources where they can learn that type of coding. So it's basically Perplexity is now linking them to 3 different websites that will help them learn R coding for this class. So this is an example of searching both files and the internet at the same time. Here's a more basic one. This one is just searching files. So if you don't want to look through your syllabus, or if there's something specific you want to find in all of your class notes, or maybe the entire class has uploaded their notes and you want to find something specific that you didn't take notes on, you can ask Perplexity. So in this case, this user is asking, when's our next exam? And so it's just looking through the syllabus and it's answering, hey, your next exam is April 10th or March 19th, 2024. And then finally, here's something that's a little more generative. So this user is preparing for their final exam. And so they are asking Perplexity to look through all the class notes, the syllabus, and then prepare a study guide and then practice questions and a study schedule. So Perplexity does this. It looks through all the files, and you can see it's highlighting key topics to review. It's making a practice test, and it's making a study schedule based on the next 7 days for that user. So yeah, that's Spaces and internal file search. And we're working on a lot more features for Spaces, and it's something that we're definitely open to a lot of feedback for. So I would say if anyone on here is using Perplexity Spaces and has ideas of how we can make it even better, especially for a student or educator audience, please let me know. It's definitely something we're open to. So now I'm going to switch over into
Hey, Greg, before you
yeah,
move
sure.
to that, I will actually ask the question because it's
Sure.
something I'm interested in related to Spaces specifically. Are there privacy controls for something like
Yeah.
that? Do you know? Could you I don't know if you can address that or not, but
Yeah. So since we also built this feature for our enterprise clients, it's definitely we by default do not train our LLMs on any of the files that you upload, and those are private for the users in the space. So we don't see those, and we don't have access to them, and we don't train our models on those.
wow,
Yeah.
that's an awesome answer.
Yeah, and also beyond Spaces, there is also a setting in Perplexity where you can, ask us, don't train our models on anything that you search in Perplexity, and that's many of our users do toggle that on by default. So yeah, we definitely give users control to whether they want to be part of that, training data or not. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's do some demos. So I thought I'd start by showing, so my job in, working with students every day is I do get to see and talk to a lot of students and ask them, hey, what are you searching? How are you using this product? So I wanted to share some of the ways that students have told me they are using our product every single day. So I'll start with this one. So a student told me, hey, I at the beginning of the year, I realized that you get a lot of free stuff when you're a student. And so she showed me that she asked Perplexity to make a table of all the free stuff that you get as a student, all the deals and offers that you can find on the internet. So you can see this student used the word exhaustive. So we're going to try to meet that request. So it's going to take a little bit longer. But basically, the search has triggered reasoning, which means we're going to use some of those more advanced models from OpenAI to go out there, really think about their question more deeply, do some multi-step thinking, and then we're going to, look for all these deals on the internet and then create a table. So now we can see that, all right, we've got Apple education pricing, students get deals on new MacBooks, Amazon Prime students, Creative Cloud. So these are all the discounts that students get, and they all have citations, so you can actually jump in and get that discount. But this is something that, yeah, we shared this with all of our students in an email newsletter, and it was very, very popular. Because you can see there's a ton of discounts. Yeah, the reasoning mode here has basically triggered the creation of this table and breaking down the information in a few different ways. Cool. Okay, so here's another one. We had a student, preparing. I would say actually right now maybe is the time to start preparing for some of these big tests. So we had a student again use a pro search to start researching for the MCAT. So you can see they're asking for free study resources for the MCAT. They asked for it in a categorized list. And then they are asking Perplexity to create a 3-month study plan. So you can see we've got links to practice exams, content review, question banks. So basically breaking it down into all the different options for that user. And the idea here is, step one for the search, you just want to know what's out there. You don't necessarily want to go to a specific website yet. And so in the old paradigm for search, probably you would just see a link to these websites and they would all be kind of advertising like, click on me, click on me. But here we're just giving you all the options. And then what you can do is you can go click in and you can just search something like this. And if we just search that on Perplexity, we would show the website in a big box at the top because we've kind of detected like, okay, they actually just want to go to the website for, Kaplan MCAT quick sheets. So we're not going to give you a long written answer in natural language. We're just going to link you to that website. And you can see now we've broken it down into a 3-month study plan. So starting with content review, foundations, intensive practice, and then final push. And you can see we're linking you to those specific resources that you should use at any point during that study period. Okay, here's the next one. So I thought I would try to do some University of Maryland specific ones. So here's an example. When does class registration for spring 2025 begin and end at the University of Maryland? So this will search through, you can see we're going to search the official University of Maryland websites, the registrar websites. Okay, we got, so you can see we've got the academic calendar here, first day of classes, spring break, last day of classes. We'll have to check me on this. Let me know if this is right. And we even have commencement and things like that. So a lot of students are, I think some of these academic websites can be really hard to search through on your own. And maybe they're a little bit older in terms of their design. So a lot of students are using Perplexity to read through all of the different websites and ask questions about, their registration dates. Here's another one that is university specific. What are the most popular off-campus housing areas for students at the University of Maryland? What should I be paying in rent? And what resources can I use to find roommates? So this is not an academic question, but it is a question that a lot of students are asking probably right now. And oh, this is a very cute video. I would love to watch this. So you can see we have Berwyn Heights, College Park, University Park, and then typical rent prices. This is going to be linking students to these different resources and even platforms like ULoop and RoomSurf, which I'm guessing is how a lot of students are finding roommates on campus. So yeah, this one's been pretty popular as well. All right, a few more. This is one that a student actually told me that they tried in Perplexity and then used, not at the University of Maryland, but a different university. So create an exhaustive guide to the best places to take a nap on the University of Maryland campus. This one we'll have to see if it's accurate. Maybe some people on this call can confirm. But okay, so it's actually pulling articles. Like this is pulling from blogs, Reddit posts, napping spots on UMD campus. So some student has already written an article about this, and so we're going to pull from that article. I guess this library actually has nap pods. That's pretty cool. So that's definitely a good place to nap. You can see there's couches, lounges, things like that. Oh, napping in a radio station. That's a good idea. So yeah, this is just a fun kind of search. But something that would probably be not that easy to search from a traditional search engine. And then here's an example of a more specific type of search. Let's say, this is kind of common. I would say how young people are using search engines in general right now is they only want to search through Reddit. So you can ask Perplexity to just search through a specific place like Reddit, and it will now look through Reddit and it will create a list of the most popular courses at the University of Maryland. So you can see we are sourcing, just Reddit questions. What are the best classes at UMD? The most iconic class you've taken? Easiest course. So you can see it's going to pull, this list of courses. And this is all based on Reddit. So of course, since it's based on Reddit, some of these classes might not be available every semester. So definitely recommend clicking into them and looking in the sources. And then what you could do next is, actually search through the University of Maryland website to make sure these classes are being available. Are available that semester. And you could probably do all of that in one search. You could say like, pull the most popular courses at UMD and then check the UMD website to make sure that those classes are being available next semester. So that's I would say the more advanced version of the search that we would see some students do. Yeah, so that's just general student questions. That's how students are using our platform. I'd love to show just a few like more detailed searches that some students have showed me. So I think first one is creating some research papers. So working on research. So here's one that a student showed me last week, is looking through peer-reviewed studies. You can see they've asked for a table. So this is getting a little more specific about how you want the information to be displayed, including title, date, author summary, all the things you need for a paper. So this one, they ask for a lot. So it's going to take a little bit longer to generate that page. But that means that we're thinking a little bit harder about it. So, and then you'll see, okay, we have the title of the page, the date, the authors, and the summary. So, okay, we got the table that we asked for. We have the citations here, and then you'll be able to look through each different paper. And so this is a good way to start your studying for anything that you're looking for. I think you could apply this kind of search to basically any paper that you're looking for, and then that will get you started on some primary sources for the paper. Here's another example. You can ask Perplexity for some inspiration of what your paper should be about. Okay, what are some good term paper topics in economics based on 2024 current events? So this is going to look at what other people are writing papers on. It's going to pull from, you can see things like the IMF, World Economic Outlook, and then it's going to tell you what's going on in the world in economics and what you should write about. So we have economic impact of climate change, post-pandemic economic recovery, economics of artificial intelligence. Okay, that one's very topical. Trade tensions, gig economy, population aging. This is, again, it's not writing your paper for you. This is a search engine. So it's going to point you to ideas and ways to get started. And then, but using Perplexity a little bit more as a brainstorming tool and a jumping off point for eventually going to write your paper. And then, another one, a final one here is, we have a lot of students right now studying for finals. So they've sent me a lot of queries that they have sent that are more about, like explaining complicated STEM topics. So the student sent me this week. This one is way out of my comfort zone, but they said that it was a pretty good result. So I wanted to share it here. So they're basically, this is a question about chemistry, I think. And so they're asking, walk us through the practice of this. And so it's going to explain the different answers. And you'll see, okay, for this one, actually, we have 3 different citations and 2 of them are videos. So this is what, this kind of citation is a little bit rare. It's usually when we think, okay, they're asking for a walkthrough. So it might be helpful to watch a video version of it. So here's where you can go click into these different videos and learn a little bit longer. That's a way that we kind of break down complex information. And then here's another STEM related search that a student sent me that they really liked. So this one is explain implicit differentiation and then cover each step. So this one might take a little bit longer. It would take me a little bit longer to answer this one too. So you can see we try to explain it in a little bit more detail, break down each step, and then talk about why it's necessary. So basically following each step of their question. And something I haven't even mentioned yet is this related topic section. So this actually is really, really popular, not just with students, but with all of our different types of users. So basically, for every question that you ask Perplexity, we are going to generate 5 related follow-up questions. So basically, we will look at what you asked, what our answer was, and we will suggest via AI what are some follow-up questions that you can ask Perplexity. So you can see, mostly these are kind of like diving deeper into suggested topics. So this is going to, this is more philosophical. Why is implicit differentiation necessary for this equation? But for any type of search you do, there's going to be, diving deeper. And people really love this feature, I would say, because it kind of gets back to the core ethos of, searching through the internet, which is, I think especially earlier in the internet, search really felt like you were diving down a rabbit hole. Dive really deep on a topic, explore, learn new things as you go deeper into your search. And we really want to like get back to that and give love using these related topics. I would say that the data of how many students are asking for a related topic is pretty high. So you can see now, okay, we're learning a little bit more about implicit differentiation here. But anytime I do a search, I am usually looking at the related questions and asking one or two, because it is just giving you more ways to look at your question and learn more about it. Yeah, I think related questions is really fun. And it's something that we're still working to improve as well, because I think we can get these even better. Cool. And then a few other features while I'm showing you here. So of course there's share. There's a rewrite, which is, if you want a different version of this equation, that's kind of helpful. And then you can give us feedback, things like that. And then I also want to show a few things here. So, okay, so sharing a Perplexity answer is a little bit different than, well, you can share a search result, which is not something that I think has been a thing that's been possible or wanted up until now. But we do see people sharing these search results quite a bit, because especially if you're asking a more complicated question, you want to share that with users. You can click share here, so you can see that I can share this, since I'm on an enterprise plan, I can share it just with my organization, or I can share it with anyone. And so if I sent you this link, even if you're not a Perplexity user, it will show you this full answer to this question. And the other thing is convert to page. So basically what this does is it will basically publish your answer for you in the form of a publicly accessible, search indexable page. So we have, professors actually use this quite a bit if they want to build like a knowledge hub for a specific topic. They will publish a bunch of searches as pages and then send those to students, kind of as if you were sending, like a hub of all the information that you have about that topic. And I can answer some questions if people are curious about that. But yeah, those are some features that are pretty used pretty well by our education audience. Uh, Actually, speaking of spaces, I wanted to show you another use case for spaces. So this is something that one of our users created. It's one of our most popular spaces. So he's in finance, and so he wanted to make a space where people could basically ask questions, but the result is in the tone of Warren Buffett's shareholder letters and his answers. So the idea is, okay, I work in finance. Obviously a big question there is, what would Warren Buffett, would he invest in this company? Does he think this is a good idea? So what he's basically done to build this space is he has uploaded Berkshire Hathaway's shareholder letters written by Warren Buffett for the past like 10 years. And then he's also given Perplexity instructions. So basically this says, you are Warren Buffett, answer each question as if you're Warren Buffett, and then prioritize facts and looking back at how you've responded to things based on shareholder letters. So this is and then you can see all the different answers. Let's see what he would say. What do you think of airline stocks? And his answer says, as Warren Buffett, I've had a rather tumultuous history with airline investments. And it's basically, you can see it's going through all those different shareholder letters, and then it's citing different ones, so we can see, okay, he mentioned in 2021, he talked about investing in several major US airlines, and industry consolidation in that industry. So this is really fun. I think there's a lot of different ways that you can take this approach to a space and apply it to, yeah, what would my professor say? Or, what would, someone, Stephen Hawking say, things like that. I think it's a really fun use case for a space. And this just, started up in the last like 2 weeks. So I think that we're going to see students using this in a lot more creative and unique ways. And I'm really excited to see how they take this further. Yeah, and then one more thing, since we're on finance, I just think it's just such an interesting use case, and probably applicable to a lot of different types of classes. So we started supporting live earnings call transcriptions. So obviously this is not a live earnings call anymore, but we had hundreds of thousands of people tuning in to watch the latest NVIDIA earnings call. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that this is now like a thing. Like people are going to bars to watch the NVIDIA earnings calls. Like it's a big thing in the industry. But we also have started serving a lot of that information live in Perplexity. So you can see, and we're breaking down things like fiscal, financial performance, data center, gaming, automotive, future outlook, and then another feature that I haven't even talked about right now is asking a follow-up. So beyond just the related questions where we pick 5 things that you can ask. You can also ask a follow-up in natural language. So you could type in anything that you want to ask about the NVIDIA earnings call, and then we will search through all the data on the internet about this earnings call to tell you, our best guess at an answer. So this is another way that a lot of people are, diving deeper on questions, creating those rabbit holes and doing more, in-depth research is by asking follow-up specifically. Yeah, okay, so let me think about what I haven't shown yet. I think that's the main thing. Yeah, let me see if there's any questions. I think I can go to questions from here. But that's Perplexity. I'm really excited to show you all everything. And like I said, students and education it's a fast growing market, and we're learning really quickly. So overall, in general, I would say we really want your feedback about how we can make this the best possible search engine for universities. So yeah, we'll share my email at the end, but I would definitely love to hear from you, both in this Q&A, but also afterwards, because we're still a pretty lean team, and we like to build features that our users ask for all the time. So yeah, I'm just excited that we're having this conversation and that we're here, because I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of helpful feedback after this, in ways that we can make our product better. So yeah, that's I guess my final call is if you use Perplexity and you have either helpful feedback or things that you wish that we would add, please reach out to me, and we'd love to keep the conversation going.
We know how to find you, Greg. That's awesome. I'm sure you'll be hearing from people. And I think that we have a few questions in the Q&A, and
Sure.
some of them may lead to some discussion about about feedback or ideas that
Yeah.
people have. So the first one is, I'd love to know how Perplexity handles recency of information. For example, if I search for best task manager, will I get the most up-to-date information?
Yeah, good questions. I mean, it's a complicated one. I think it really depends on your search, but in general, we try to find the most reputable sources. So when we scrape the internet, we are looking at, which websites are getting a lot of visits. And I would say recency is somewhat important, but not as important as, is this a popular website that a lot of people are visiting? So for example, yeah, like I think if you're asking for like the best of, blank, I think usually it will search for, what the most popular of those like best of lists, which might not necessarily be the most recent. I would also always, if you're not getting a good result there, add a little bit more into your query to make it more specific. So of 2024 is what I would add. And then it definitely will look for, it'll look for those best of lists, but also, keeping the year into account. Yeah, I, I guess that's the most abstract version of the answer, but it really depends on your search.
Yeah, and just to follow up though, so you have a web crawler and you're not realize that's always trying to keep things as up to date as you can. You don't have an artificial cutoff date for the end
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
point,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That may be
We
part of this question.
Yes, yeah, we it's one of our main things that we focus on is we're searching the internet in real time. There's no like 6 month cutoff or anything like that. So you will get answers. Like if we asked like what happened yesterday, Perplexity would tell you what happened yesterday. We'll give you up to the minute info. And yeah, like this with stock, of course that's very important. Can we tell you what's happening in the stock market in the last like 10 minutes? So definitely something that we focus on up to the minute information.
Okay, then the next question. Have there been any hallucination issues? This is going back to the spaces in the syllabus
Yeah.
discussion. Have there been any hallucination issues with the syllabus material, especially if it involves online um, as well? For example, you had the what can I learn about R based on the syllabus? Are they working well together? Are there hallucination issues related to that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, any AI product is going to have some hallucinations. I have heard that ours is better than the other ones that are on the market, but of course, we always tell students who are using our product like this is not your primary source, right? This is how you get to the primary sources. So do your search on Perplexity, but then go to those primary sources and then actually corroborate that what the information you're seeing is actually true. In terms of like spaces and searching your actual files, I have not heard of any issues with hallucinations there. I think that's much easier for us because we're searching a very limited subset of information. So I don't think we've had any hallucinations there. But of course, if you see any, please let me know because that's obviously the kind of thing that we're trying to improve over time.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we have a question here that I'm going to just kind of read this to you. It's a couple sentences long, and it's
Okay.
kind of I won't call it philosophical, but it's a really interesting question. So I am a professor who routinely asks students in my undergraduate class questions. This is a record scandals class, asking open-ended questions, including for final exam essays. Here's an example. Is Edward Snowden a hero or a villain?
Hmm.
That's a simplified version of a more complex question. Just like other Gen AI software, including Gemini, but better, I assume that Perplexity will give an extremely well thought out answer to that question. Do you see this as a concern in terms of the end of the need for critical thinking on the part of students? I'm a big proponent of Gen AI. I'm seriously concerned about the need to reimagine how to frame questions to students. So,
Hmm.
where even using Perplexity, they do need to think on their own. So,
Yeah.
this is a big thought kind of a question, and it's a super interesting one.
Yeah. Well, first of all, my opinion is just one of many here. So I don't want to say that I am speaking for the entire company or for the entire world here. But I personally think that this is a tool that makes it easier to get knowledge. And so it's definitely up to us and up to students to, realize that this, is not the final solution to getting to forming your own critical thinking. But I would say the what I am a little comforted by is the fact that we focus so much on when we design the product, we really focus on citing our sources to connect you to where we are getting our information. And also, we really do try to emphasize, diving deeper into any question that you ask. So, like I mentioned, those related questions at the bottom really kind of getting you to think a little bit more critically about what you're asking, and then also letting you type in follow-ups yourself, which a lot of people are doing. So I would say actually related questions is, I think, the most interesting, way that we're exploring, how do we get people to critically think about what they're asking? Because, instead of just giving you the answer to your question, we're actually giving you 5 more questions to ask. So I think that's a pretty interesting way of, inspiring people to not only get the answer to their question, but also like, what are other ways they can even approach it or think about it? So that's what I would say. I would say I think when we see students using our products, they are going into those related questions. They are, maybe they're getting a starting point for their homework or the paper that they're writing, but hopefully we're also getting them to think a little bit deeper about their question, and that'll inspire them to formulate their own ideas and thoughts about it. And I would also say for questions like, I mean, the example that you gave, that's a very open-ended question. We're not going to say yes, he's a hero, or yes, he's a villain. We're going to give you both sides. And then I think for the student writing the paper, if they're asked to pick a side, they're going to be able to now see all the cited sources for both opinions, and then they will use that to make their judgment call. So I think I would say that's that's a really good, interesting question, because if you're asking a student to pick a side on a controversial topic, usually our product is not going to pick a side there. So I do think that's how students are gonna, that's a great way, I would say, to get students to think more critically about topics like that, is you're asking them to pick, make an opinion and make a stand on something that we will not make an opinion for, because there are both sides. So yeah, honestly, I think that's a great kind of query to ask Perplexity and then write a paper on, because we're not gonna give you an answer. We're gonna give you all the different sources, and help you formulate your opinion, and let you dive deeper with those related questions. And then I think students could write some really interesting papers based on the answers that they see.
Super interesting. Thank you for that detailed answer. Okay, here's another one. Can Perplexity search for information that is only available after being logged in? So, for example, if there was information on a university website that required your university credentials in order to, deep web type of stuff, can it
Yeah.
access things that are behind firewalls? I think is maybe part of the, or
Yeah.
credential constrained.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not really. We do have, like, one of our goals for next year, I would say, is working on more like connections. So hopefully next year we will have some features where you can, yeah, like log in with credentials and search different places. I would say another example of that is connecting like a Bloomberg terminal account if you want to search through that kind of database, connecting JSTOR if you want to search through an academic database. We don't have those features right now. Right now, you can only search through things that are publicly available, but it is definitely in our roadmap to allow you to connect, accounts and search through things like that. If you are, paying for that account, or if you have access to it in some other way. So right now, no, but in the future, we want to enable that capability. Yeah.
Okay. Here's another question. Do people have to sign into Perplexity, and what type of information do you collect from your users? So related to the privacy things we talked about before.
Yeah, yeah, good question. In terms of what information we collect, I would say read our privacy policy. I don't have that one memorized, but you don't have to sign in to Perplexity. It's pretty similar to, I would say, Google, where we encourage you to sign in, because then you can access your search history, you can go to spaces, you can use Pro Search and all these different things, but you don't have to. And many people are using it without signing in at all. I think it's a much better experience if you sign in, mainly because you can look at all the things you searched for in the past. And I find myself going back to my prior searches a lot, but it's not something that's necessary.
Okay, that's the end of the questions right now in the chat. So if people have other questions, and we have 10 more minutes if people have questions. While I'm waiting for more to come in, I have a list. So so I will proceed with my
Sure.
list of questions. Um, First of all, I wanted to make it was I just wanted to comment that the perplexity.com is now the I didn't realize that you had that domain now, so that's how I'll be signing in from now on. But I was wondering if you have any best practices for queries to get really the correct, like you're saying you want to give an answer, best practices for getting the correct answer. You referenced, follow-up questions, adding a date, for example. But if you could just talk about that for a little bit, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I would say you can use Perplexity in any way. But I think one of the benefits of using AI-powered search is specificity. So we are able to support really, really specific questions. And I'll give one example, which we haven't really talked about, which is shopping. So we had a lot of people use Perplexity for shopping this holiday season. But the types of things they were buying were very specific items. Like imagine like, you need a part for your car and you don't know exactly what that part is, but you can describe it in some detail. Or imagine you need like some sort of, cleaning solution for, your kitchen table that's like peeling. That's a problem that I have. I need to resurface my kitchen table. I had no idea how to do that. So like in that case, you can really do a very specific search. So my search that I did on Perplexity was, I have a wooden table. It's this type of wood. It's like peeling a little bit. The plastic is coming off. Like, what can I do and what products do I need to buy for that? And so that's a very specific search. And you'll basically get a very specific answer there. And then we'll point you to what products you should buy and give you like a step-by-step process for doing it. So that's how I personally use Perplexity. I like to get really specific. And I think that usually gives the best results. And it's something you can't really do with other search engines. You can also, I mean, people have fun with it. People say, responds to me as if you're a cartoon character. People say like, answer every question is Albert Einstein. We're definitely not a chat bot. You're not going back and forth like communicating. Like, we're not personifying the AI in any means. But there are a lot of different ways that you can talk to an AI-powered search engine and get some interesting results. So I would say everyone's search is different. I like to be very specific and a little more verbose in my questions, so I can get some really detailed responses.
Okay, then I have a my next question is almost a follow-up to that, because I was thinking about the set, you were talking about 6 or 7 sources, sometimes it's fewer, might be one more, something like that. Was there like was that optimized based on user research in terms of how many sources are generally considered useful? Or is it that it's related that because the more specific your question, maybe the more specific your sources are going to be. And maybe you could just talk about the provisioning of the sources would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's maybe more of a question for our engineering team. I don't want to speak out of turn because I did
Yeah.
not actually build that. But it definitely depends on what you're asking for, right? Like you'll notice that when I ask questions about the University of Maryland, like class registration, like we don't want to pull from 10 different sources, right? We want to pull from one source, which is the website for the University of Maryland. So we do try to, I think, when you ask your question, we'll parse it and we'll think about, do we need to ask the entire internet for this, or do we need to look for one specific place? And you can also specify that in your search. The example I showed where you're searching like just search Reddit, and then we'll just look through Reddit, sources. And you could even get really creative there, and you could say, just give me the best source for this, and we would try our best, and we would find one source and cite it once. Or you could do the opposite. You could say, search through the entire internet, I would like at least 10 sources,
Right.
academic sources only. So again, like I think that's where like we can get really creative with how we search here. And you can kind of tell us what you want. But otherwise, we're going to look at your question and we're going to try to guess. Do they want a lot of sources, or is one source the best for this answer?
Okay, we have a couple other questions come in, and the next one is, are you making a platform, or the question is about Google Scholar and
Mm.
citations. So
Hmm.
are you making a platform similar to Google Scholar, and will you have a widget for citation management?
This is a good question. I I think I would like to hear more about what you want us to build in that case. It's something that we're currently exploring. I don't think I have very specific plans to share yet. But this kind of feedback is actually really interesting and helpful to me. So honestly, if there are features that you really like from Google Scholar, you think that we can incorporate into our platform, or yeah, if we need a better citation management system, that's the kind of thing I would love an email from, especially from, professors or folks working in education. So please reach out to me and let me know what you think we should build. We work pretty fast, so I can tell you like the things we're working on now, we probably got requests for a month or two ago, and we'll try to launch them in the next few weeks. So yeah, no specific roadmap to share right now, but we want to build features like this. So let us know what you think we should add.
Um, okay, there was one more question, but I think he says he wants to ask it maybe offline. Let me see.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to share your email address. I think that's it
Yeah.
for the time that we have for questions. So let's share your email address, and then I will thank everybody and tell them what's coming
Sure.
after that.
My email is actually still the AI address. So it's
Okay,
greg at perplexity.ai. Maybe I'll switch it over to perplexity.com soon.
okay.
But yeah, you can reach out to me. I'll try to get back to you. I do manage 300 student ambassadors, so I get a lot of emails. So I'm sorry if I don't reply right away, but I do try to reply to anyone who reaches out. Yeah, I'd love to keep the conversation going with you all.
Um, so thank you very much. This was really fantastic, Greg. Super interesting overview of, you know, ideas about how to use the platform and how it works. It was really just nicely, very informative and helpful to this audience. So everybody, thank you for coming. I do want to just mention that we have another talk scheduled for February. And it's Daniel Trielli is coming. He's an assistant professor at the Media and Democracy at the Philip Merrill College of Journalism here at the University of Maryland. And he's going to talk about his research that has to do with how people search for news, is really and the impact that how people search for news has on journalists. So that's going to be a super interesting talk as well. We don't have a date yet, but it will be sometime in February, and you'll be hearing more about that after the new year. So Greg, once again, thank you so much for your talk, and I'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming, everyone.
bye.
It was really great to
Thank
talk to you and answer
you.
your questions. Bye,
Good
all.
talking with everybody.